How's everybody doing today? Today is an exciting day, but I want to start with the other exciting day I had when Ben and the team first reached out to me and said, hey, we got something going on in your district and we want to meet. And those meetings, when developers want to sit and chat, you never know what exactly you're walking into and how many pretty pictures they're going to show you, and then end with, and here's what we need from the city. Here's what we need from you. And I'll never forget, because Ben came in and he said, we bought property at Iowa and Broadway. And I said, oh my gosh, I'd just been campaigning, walking through the neighborhood for this job, and the number one complaint of people living around here was this intersection. And when you looked at the maps from the police on where the crime was in Platt Park and in Overland, the highest concentration of crime happening in the neighborhood. The reason that the neighbors wanted something new, wanted something done at this intersection was because it was this intersection. And so I said, oh, you bought the motel down there. And he said, yeah, and we're gonna build condos. And I said, you're gonna build apartments? And he said, no, you guys are working on a local construction defects ordinance to help what's happened at the state level that's made it impossible. We think that what you're doing is going to make it possible for us to build for sale units. Oh, and then he says, oh, and by the way, we're going to build our affordable on site. We're not going to buy out. We're not going to build elsewhere. We're excited about it. It's an important part of what we're doing is to build the affordable on site. So let's give it up for that one too. And so now I'm like, okay, he really set me up, right? Like, he's going to build condos, he's going to build affordable, he's going to build it here, right? And what you need from me is my firstborn. What is you need? And he goes, well, I wanted to meet with you because I wanted you to know what we're doing. Or it's all use by right. We don't need any rezoning, but we want to be involved in this community. We want to be great neighbors. So what else can we do? What else can we do? We're going to build for sale product. We're going to build our affordable. We're going to bring ground floor activation and people living 18 to 24 hour eyes on the street to one of the most crime-ridden intersections in the area. And he says to me, what else can we do? I mean, this was like Christmas and my birthday all wrapped into one. This is not how these meetings usually go. And he wasn't just saying that. I mean, Ben has stayed involved and calls me and emails me, hey, what about this? Got involved, said, hey, I've heard there's some plans for improvements to Iowa. And so this guy starts going around talking to other business owners, other property owners in the area. How do we form a bid to help support the project at Iowa? And now we're going to get that built too. That's being designed this year to get rid of those horrible stairs, make that ADA compliant, make it bikeable so that when I'm down there with my 8-year-old trying to bike over to the South Platte River, to the Levitt Pavilion, to Overland Golf Course, I'm not going to have to ride in the street with the cars. We're going to be able to ride. The crossing at Santa Fe is going to be improved. And that whole path along Santa Fe where cars are going 55 miles per hour, instead of being a 5-foot attached sidewalk, it's going to be at a minimum a 15-foot buffer there for us to ride. And this guy said, okay, well, we got that one done. What else can we do? And so this to me is the perfect example. This is where public sector and private sector work together. We sit there on the public sector side trying to find policies and ways. We know that this city, and boy, I grew up in this town. My parents bought a house in 1969 for $10,500. They're still in that house. That's one generation, the change in cost. And I don't even have to go back that far, because when my wife and I were just married, she's a school teacher. I worked for a nonprofit for my whole life before I somehow found my way into this job. And, two of us, both working good jobs, to try to find a place that we could live in the city was very, very difficult. And the only way that we were able to do that, where we now own our home in this neighborhood, where we're now raising our kids, where my kids might end up going to South High, where I graduated from, the only way we were able to do that was because we were able to first buy a condo. We were able to find something to get into the market that we could use to build that equity, that generational opportunity to build wealth, to own something, to come home and say, today, and my wife did do this, I didn't sign off, but I helped, today we're gonna paint the kitchen bright green. You know why? Because we own it and because we can. And those opportunities are continuing to slip away in our city for people across incomes. I mean, for those of us for our citizens who need it most, and for people who are two jobs and good jobs, those opportunities are slipping away. And so we work really hard from the city level to try and come up with these policies and these routes. But none of that works unless the private sector comes and says, you know what? This works and we believe in it and we're gonna do it. And you know what, at the end of the day, it makes sense for us as the private sector, but it's also the right thing to do. These are the kind of partnerships that are the only way that we build the city that I think everybody here, and certainly I know I want to be the city that my parents are retired in, that I'm working hard in, and that my kids are growing up in. And it's because of partners like this. And so I can't let this moment get away without saying that was an exciting day. But today, when we get to dig some dirt and say it isn't just, hey, what we'd like to do, it actually pencils out. These policies are actually set up where the private sector can be successful doing the critical things that we have to do to make Denver livable, to keep Denver affordable, and to create those opportunities for ownership and wealth building. And the city can't do that. We can try to help and we can try and not get in the way, but it takes private sector. It takes these guys to get that done. So I want to give it up for everybody who's here, who is involved in this in any way in making this possible. This is a huge win. This is what it's all about. So give it up for everybody who was involved in that. One of the big keys on the public sector side of things is that nothing happens in this town without the leadership from our mayor. We have a strong mayor government, which means that that leadership is what drives policy. And we do what we do at City Council, and I don't want to belittle that, but without a mayor like the mayor we have, we don't have the city that we have. And this is a guy who, I said this just the other day, I'm gonna say it again, I'm gonna keep saying it anytime I have the chance to introduce him. As I tell people all the time, you gotta wake up pretty early in the morning to find somebody who loves this city more than I do. I love this city. This is my city, and this is my city not in a way that means it can't be anybody else's city, but it's just my city, and that I'm gonna do everything until I can't move anymore to make it better tomorrow than it was today. You got to get up early in the morning to love the city. Find anybody who loves the city more than me. But this mayor, he gets up early in the morning. This guy, he loves this city. I've seen it personally. When he gets a paper cut, he bleeds Bronco orange. He loves Denver through and through. And these policies, this place that we're building, this space that we're making for the private sector to do projects like this, it starts with this guy. And so please, let's really give it up for the great mayor of Denver, Michael B. Hancock.
Keep it going for Councilman Jolin Clark, tremendous partner. Thank you, Councilman. And he is so generous with his comments. Actually, I'm taking him on the road. I just told him that. But the reality is that he is a tremendous partner. None of this happens. You notice they came to see the councilman. And that is a sign of respect and a sign of acknowledgement that someone truly respects the work that he does and the fact that he's going to move things. Listen, I'm going to be brief because I think it's more important that we get to tearing this place down than anything else. And I think, don't you agree, that's important that we tear this summer gun down as quickly as possible. But I want to acknowledge a couple of people. I want to thank Ben as well for your vision. He is joined by part of two development groups that have come together, LCP Development and Mercury Real Estate Partners. And I want to ask you if you'll join me in thanking all of them for their partnership, for their vision, and for their leadership on this. I don't know if anyone will say this, so I'll steal their thunder. They're already 40% sold. So people want to come here. This place is in demand. And what I like about this development is that it brings value. Not all development brings value. This development, this mixed-use development, is bringing value for all the reasons that Councilman Clark just laid out. Affordable housing's here, retail's going to be here, but the fact that we get to tear down this old motel, and one of the biggest attractions to crime in this area, and to start anew and to create a destination and a home for people who want to live here, I think is a powerful, powerful value, and something that we strive to push in almost every development we have in the city. Bring the value. What's the value? And to hear that story from Councilman Clark about his interaction or conversation with Ben, what else can we do, tells me that their hearts and their values were in the right place when they first started this project. So we thank you for that. I also want to acknowledge the presence of two of our great servants, public servants in this city. First Officer Lopez is here and Lieutenant O'Donnell are here. Would you raise your hands? We simply want to thank you both for being here. The men and women in blue serve and protect us every day. But we want to get this party started because I think this motel has stood long enough, and another day is way too long. So let's break ground, and I look forward to coming back for the ribbon cutting, and we can celebrate this wonderful development. Congratulations to you all.